on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Blake Dean giving us a shout out on Twitter. Thanks for Blake Dean, UNO baseball coach, coming on the show. And let's switch gears here to the Pelicans, heading into the All-Star break. But before we get to the ins and outs of last night's game, big win over the Lakers. And now they've won 3 in a row, basically holding serve with the other, let's say, 6 teams that they're battling, and potentially a 7th with the Spurs because they're falling back to the pack. But just an update on the postponed game against the Indiana Pacers, as the catch basin wasn't catch-worthy enough for the players as that game got postponed last week. They will play that game on March 21st. This means the Pelicans will have back-to-back-to-back. They will play Dallas on March 20th, Indiana on March 21st, and the Lakers on March 22nd, all in the Smoothie King Center. And our own Will Guillory pointing out that the Pelicans will have to play 7 games during the span of March 15th to March 24th. And according to Will Guillory, in his expert opinion, that's insane.
Well, yeah.
It's a little bit.
But what are you going to do? There's going to be no good time to do it. You got to make
when you run into that situation,
you make the game up. You got to do it. I mean, like, there's only so much complaining people can do about these kind of things. I'm sure the NBA worked with the teams to try and coordinate, and they've got to get the game in, so it's got to be done.
Well, as Mason Ginsberg, who writes for Bourbon Street Shots here locally in the city, I think he puts it pretty well. He goes on to say, if the NBA cared so much about protecting its players, they would have put the game next Wednesday after All-Star Weekend. Playing 5 games in 6 nights is absurd and just asking for injuries. And then he goes on to say pretty much that this game is going to, and all the rest of the games that the Pelicans have after the All-Star break, which, as Will Guillory also puts, the Pelicans will have 8 games against teams seeded 3 through 10 in the West.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
The schedule is getting ready. It's nut-cutting time, as they say.
And
we're getting ready to find out who the pretenders are and who the contenders are, because they're all going to be playing each other, and there's going to be some dust settle on the Western Conference standings.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, why don't we hear from Alvin Gentry, not necessarily on the game from the Lakers. We'll touch into that in a couple minutes. But let's start with Alvin Gentry and his thoughts on the team at the All-Star break.
I was going to say, well, after half of the season, the 57 games or whatever we played, the 57 game. I think just like anything, it's been ups and downs. If I had to talk about the biggest disappointment, I would say it's a home record. I think we got to be better at home, and we've let some games get away here that would have really put us in a really nice situation right now, but can't worry about it. We just have to come back after the break, continue to concentrate on winning our home games and continue to play. We've been playing at a real high rate on the road, and so if we can continue to play as we have on the road and then take care of some business at home, I think we'll have an opportunity to be okay. It doesn't matter who you play in the playoffs. All of them are going to be good teams. You just got to get there. That's what our goal is.
And, Jeff, you've brought the home record up before, and all you got to do is I could just rattle them off. Anyone in playoff contention, the Pelicans have the worst home record. Right now, Rockets 23-6, Warriors 22-7, the Spurs 22-6, T-Wolves 23-7, Thunder 20-10, Blazers 17-11, the Nuggets 23-7, the Pels are 15-12, the Clippers are barely above them 16-12, and the Jazz are 18-9. If you can't take care of home field, home court, whatever you want to call it, it's gonna badly hinder your chances. Even though the Pelicans are 16-14 on the road, and that's pretty good.
Road record.
That's pretty good, especially when you look at the teams within the top 8. There are not too many better marks outside of the Rockets and the Warriors. The Pelicans are the only team above 500 on the road, which is, again, bizarro world.
No, I mean, their road record is fine. That's not the issue. They've got to take care of home court advantage. I was asked by Sean Kelly today, I plug in the Black and Blue Report, but I did an interview with him today. He's the Pelicans radio play-by-play man, and he asked me what I thought, how the Pelicans could start generating more interest and get more people at the home games. And I really believe it's on the Pelicans. I mean, they've got to be more consistent. They've got to put together more wins. They've got to win at home. I mean, some of these things are their own fault. I mean, they've dropped some easy games at home. As soon as they get things going, they go on a losing streak. And that's why that injury to Cousins was so cruel, because felt like they were just finally getting it together. That was kind of the tipping point for me, in the casual fan, New Orleans sports fan, was getting ready to jump on board. It felt like after all these years of being hesitant, team losing, all these injuries.
They were going on to beat the Rockets.
Yeah.
And they'd won, 7 of 8?
Yeah, 7 of 8.
No.
And they're going into the All-Star break for the first time in their history, leading the Western Conference in wins. That's in 51 years. This is the first time they've actually gone to the All-Star break, leading the.
What are you talking about?
The Rockets.
The Rockets. Yeah, the Rockets.
The Pelicans.
The Rockets.
We've lost Clyde.
No, that's such a big win.
Yeah, it was a huge win. But that's what you know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
They were just on the verge, I think, of capturing everybody's attention. Then they have this huge setback. They start losing again, 5 of 6 games. Now they've started winning back. They're figuring it out. But the schedule's going to get tougher. They've got to win some of these games, and these critical games, or they're going to drop out.
Well, Jeff, to your credit, so let's talk about this stretch now, this new stretch for the Pelicans before we get into a little bit more of this audio. So from March 15th to the 22nd, they are at San Antonio. They're hosting Houston, hosting Boston, hosting Dallas, hosting Indiana, and hosting the Lakers. So if you want to talk about bringing up that home record, I mean, that's going to be one way to do it, but you heard the teams on that list. Number 1 Houston, number 1 Boston, terrible Dallas team, a pretty good Indiana team with Victor Oladipo, and then the Lakers, who you just stomped.
That is going to be not a pretty stretch as far as just on. I'm not saying wins and losses. I'm just saying take a toll on their bodies, period. And at least they're playing a little deeper on the bench. Look, the fact that they're, like you said, they got Emeka Okafor, and he's at least playing, giving you some minutes, and then Mirotic comes off the bench. I think that's a plus. But you look at the win last night, and you know me, reactionary McGee. I think it was good that they stomped on the neck. I don't care that it was the All-Star break and maybe the Lakers. All right, we went down 20, and then we just kind of they came back, but then the Pelicans were able to kind of push away, say in the fourth quarter, because second quarter was 33-33, and then the Pelicans lost the third quarter 25-24, so it wasn't some major catastrophe. But then they went in the fourth quarter and stomped on their neck. I think that's a good sign for a team that knows they can't afford any slip-ups at all. They just can't afford them at all.
Well, they scored 46 in the first quarter.
Yeah.
Was that a record? I think it was, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
I mean, 46 points in a quarter is crazy.
Yeah. Knowing that what the pace you're setting. And then, guys, it goes back to a lot of things that we talked about specifically with bench production. So you had Mirotic in 29 minutes. He scored 16. In 31 minutes, Darius Miller scored 19. And you were able to get 9 from Czech Diallo. You were able to get 5 from Darius Miller. And then, of course, anytime you get 42 from Anthony Davis, that's just, I mean, the efficiency of that game. The efficiency he had in that game was amazing. But, I mean, shoot, you're getting Etuan Moore 14 and Drew with 24. I just don't. That's the kind of basketball.
And Rondo gets tossed.
He gets tossed.
He played 8 minutes.
He played 8 minutes and got tossed. And then they had to basically use any smattering of, obviously, DeAndre Liggins and Charles Cook for 2 minutes and 42 seconds. But
that was at the end.
That was at the end, but still, that's what we're talking about. They had 35 assists on 53 made baskets.
35 assists is impressive.
Yeah, that's very impressive. And that shows the confidence of a team when they're playing well and when they have an entire group also at the same time really gelling at the right stage. And it just, again, it's just something with the franchise and just moments that just pull at your gut because they're playing so well. And now they're going to the All-Star break for a week and a half.
But here's the thing. But real quick, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
But here's the thing. in the NBA, you can have a night like that. I mean, you can have a bad night the other way. It's 82 games. You're going to have nights where things are clicking, you're hitting, balls sharing. It's not about that. It's 80. It's like kind of like baseball. I mean, you got to be able to put together streaks and runs, and you've got to have more good streaks than bad streaks. And this team hasn't shown the ability. Yes, they've shown the ability to have nights like last night. They've also shown the ability to where they can't hit the broadside of the barn and they get beat by the Sixers where they're not even in the game. So you can't go through these fluctuations of just night by night rising up and everything's great and this is the potential of this team. Every team can do that in the NBA.
Well, the one streak that's got them to where they are is that 7 out of 8 game streak.
Right.
Without that, they would be win 1, lose 1, win 2, lose 2. That was more the norm than them winning 7 out of 8. Like they need a couple more winning, say, 4 out of 6 or 4 out of 5. They're going to need a couple more of those. I don't know how many of those they have in them though, and I think
the
that's
schedule
the big, and that's
with that
because of
schedule,
it.
yeah.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. But let's see. Look, good win last night. They've won 3 in a row. Let's hear what Alvin Gentry has to say on the win over the Lakers last night.
The pace of the game, I said to the guys when we went out that we won't have to worry about pace tonight because they really get up and down the court. But, we like to play that way also. So, we invited them, we invited them to play that way. I thought we did a good job of getting out and running and creating easy baskets. It's really tough transition defense-wise to try to get back and get yourself set because time they score a basket, they're right back on top of you. I thought we had enough stops that, we were able to create separation. But even in the first quarter when we had the separation, that at some stage they're going to have a run and you're going to make a run when you're shooting that high of percentage. And so that's exactly what happened. But once again, I thought we maintained our poise. We kept doing what we needed to do. We had some lineups out there tonight that hadn't played together at all, but I thought everyone did a good job and the ball movement was great. 35 assists. I think when you have that, you've done a good job.
All right, let's take a break right here on the show. When we get back, got a couple more Alvin Gentry sound bites, and they're on the bench play from Darius Miller and Niko Mirotic. And does I'm seeing AD. Does Anthony Davis need to score 40 a night every night to win, or is it just nice to have and then you have complimentary parts join in? So we'll talk about that and a little bit more as we got a half hour left on Thursday's edition of the show. So come on back. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. Duncan Holder.